am so excited again. I've been thrilled these last 3 days. This has been amazing to be in conversation with you on such an important topic. And I am looking forward to this last day for this time, for this series, of us having our discussion around being the leader that you were created to be. And today, we're really going to come in just right into how do I do that? What am I doing to truly become the leader that I was created to be in whatever form or fashion, whatever season, whatever phase, whatever role that you are sitting in right now. So before I get started, for those who are joining us for the first time, welcome, and welcome back to those who were here on day 1 and 2. I am Dr. Iris Freeman, and I am a leadership strategist. I'm an author, a speaker, a mentor, and I have over 20 years experience as a leader that helps organizations and executive leaders transform. And I found it to be very intriguing as I went through my own journey of developing as a leader that too many brilliant, talented women specifically, but people in general, but definitely women, are left to discover how to thrive in their next level of leadership. And they're typically doing it alone because the support, the strategic, intentional support, is truly not there. And in so many environments, because of our culture and the context in which our society is morphing from or evolving from, has women at the table or not at the table being undervalued, misaligned, misunderstood, misrepresented, and the list goes on and on. So these conversations have really been about what are we going to do about that? How are we going to change that? So today I want to share 3 leadership tips. They are leadership tips that really are about strategic empowerment, strategic courage, that can immediately change how you lead if you decide or if you so desire. So with that said, I'm actually today just want to jump right into those 3 tips. That's really where I want us to focus today. There will be a challenge at the end like there had been the other 2 days, but within that there's going to be another 2 assignments that I really want you to be ready to take a note on or type it out for yourself or come back to the video to make sure that in the next 14 days, because you were given a challenge yesterday, but within the next 14 days, you take it upon yourself to own your next level, your next iteration of leadership. So let's go. Let me just tell you real quick that we'll have those 3 tips. The first one will be claim her. The second one will be share her. And the third tip is ignite her. The her is you, or the her may be somebody who you're supporting. So let's go on and get into it. So claim her. Claim her is simply your leadership identity. Empowered leadership begins with internal permission. Have you intentionally, have you formally, because a lot of things we do assumptively, intentionally giving yourself permission to identify yourself as a particular type of leader? Have you given yourself permission to embrace your identity as a leader? Just think of the various ways in which you probably haven't formally given yourself permission. here today and you want to be engaged or just entertain me, if you would type in the chat permission. Many women wait, and no criticism, but we attempt to go through life on the premise of what we've been told about ourselves. Far too often, we wait for someone else to recognize our leadership. But truly strategic, empowered leaders recognize themselves first. We don't have to wait on someone to recognize us as a leader or recognize our leadership. We're going to step into recognizing it ourselves first and then telling the world, telling the group by how we present ourselves, by how we show up, who we are, who you are, who is Sharon as a leader when she shows up. McDonald's didn't tell us they didn't wait for the world to tell them what kind of restaurant they were. They told us by talking about the hamburgers that they sell, by having on all of their branding over so many billion sold. It is up to us to identify who she is. Who am I as a leader? And how am I going to therefore show up that way? And let's start by first writing a leadership identity statement. You really can do that in any form or fashion that is comfortable to you, that really truly resonates and speaks to who you are. For example, I'll just give you a statement that says, I just did this like off the top of my head where I am right now. I lead with clarity, wisdom, and courage. It can be that simple, or it could be a paragraph. It's really, truly up to what really meets your needs and helps you to articulate and define yourself as a leader. So if you're up for that challenge, go ahead and type in the chat identity. So as you're doing that, I'll move on to the tip number 2. It's share her. Stop carrying leadership alone. We talked about on day 1 about the silence and the quiet navigation that women leaders find themselves navigating leadership alone. Leadership never was meant to be done in isolation. And one of the most dangerous habits women leaders develop is silent over-responsibility. And I'll tell you that's a pattern that we typically fall into because we find ourselves doing over-responsibility in many aspects of our lives. So why would our leadership be any different? We carrying decisions alone, carrying the emotional labor, and carrying all the outcomes. I got to make sure this turns out right. And that's a great and admirable vision and perspective to have, but how do you carry that out with others? It is about alignment. As a leader, how do you align people to come together to go in the same direction with the goal and the hopes of acquiring the same results or making the same impact while everybody leverages and uses their talents to get there? You heard I said everyone. But we've got to build that leadership journey trust so that we're not alone. And then we've got to share her by using our skills and talents to encourage others to lead in other parts of the vision. So I say again, it's about alignment. And if you look at the root of alignment, it's AL, al, ally. How do you have allies that come together and create what's called alignment? So, if you would entertain me again, put ally in the chat because we are going to share her by building relationships and having that alignment with our allies. So if you're thinking about that and typing ally, we're going to move on to our last tip for today and for this series. Our last tip is ignite her. We're first going to claim her, then we're going to share her, and then we're going to ignite her. And by igniting her, that means we're going to lead from purpose and not pressure. Pressure-driven leadership eventually leads to burnout, overwhelmment, dissatisfaction, which puts us in a position of not being able to be as impactful as we were created to be. Plain and simple. Worn out, tired, disillusioned, disengaged. All of the things that can come from a result of being burnt out. Pressure-driven leadership eventually becomes ineffective. But purpose-driven leadership creates impact. Purpose-driven leadership puts another fire inside of us that puts us in a position to want to pull other people in, that wants other people to join us, that wants us to partner with others so that this vision and this passion and this purpose can come to fruition. So while you're reflecting and thinking about that, finish this sentence. The impact I am called to create is. On the first day, we talked about that, and so we should have been kind of mulling over that. And as you think about that and you reflect on that, think about over the next 14 days taking 2 of the 3 tips and putting them into action. So those are your assignments: to create that identity statement, and then from that build on what are the 2 things out of these tips that I can do along with the day 1 challenge and the day 2 challenge to ignite her. If you are interested in igniting her and you're going to ignite her, go ahead and put in the chat fire, because you'll be on fire for the next level and the next impact of leadership. The next impact and fire for your purpose and for your calling and for your assignment. These are 3 very practical tips that you could start moving on today. And I hope you will. And I hope that there's a fire in you that encourages you and gives you that strategic courage to take your leadership to the next space, to the next level, to the next assignment. So that's the conclusion of the 3 tips that I have for you today, and I am confident that in the last 3 days, through our conversations, if you begin to use any of that, you will definitely begin to see a change in your leadership journey. So I want to thank everybody for joining me. This has been really a great conversation over these last 3 days.